Well, here we are, y'all. This is another episode of the Yeah Buddy podcast. We are recorded live from the Inno Grove Studios up here in Elk Grove, California. And just like every episode of the Yeah Buddy podcast, I always try to bring on some of my friends here in the entertainment industry, somebody that does something with movies, somebody that does something in the comedy world. And then we just get together, we shoot the shit, and we just tell our stories. And we just talk. So without further ado, we're just gonna get this episode started. Like me, my name is Buddy Ramey. You already know I'm the host of this here show. And like any other episode, I got my guest here. We have let them introduce themselves. Ladies first.
I am Tess Tickles. I'm a local comedian. You can follow me on Instagram at Follow My Funny.
Awesome. And hey, I'm D'adonis Moquette. I am a local filmmaker, director, and producer. And you can follow me on my IG, D'adonis, D'adonism.
All right, cool. Sure. So we're gonna get into this episode. Like I said, Tess, she does the whole comedy stuff, doing the stand-up out here in Sacramento, California. D'adonis out here making moves, doing this movie stuff, directing and things like that nature and stuff like that. Tess, what is it that got you started into stand-up? Or like how long have you been doing it for?
We're gonna get a little deep here. 3 years I've been doing comedy. My dad passed away, and I went through a grieving period where I kind of had some depression, and I don't deal with depression. I don't on a daily. I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky girl. But I realized, my upbringing was very night and day between my mom and dad. My dad was white and rich. My mom was Mexican and poor. And I didn't want to be like her. I didn't want to be like him. I have a lot of both their qualities. So I said, I don't do anything for myself. So I took a class. Punchline. Johnny Taylor's storytelling class. I had a funny golf cart story that happened to me at work. Bitch fell out my cart and went to the emergency room. Big old thing. So he helped me write a funny little callback. And at the end, everybody was chanting, fucking Becky. So it worked.
Becky, that was her name?
Yeah, that was her name.
And then D'adonis, you out here doing directing, producing, just a whole bunch of stuff like that. How did you get started into filmmaking?
I think I got my start off really wanting to get into acting. And so I went to school for acting, college, that is. And I think in my second semester, I ended up finding out that like 99% of actors are jobless. And then out of like the 2% of actors or 1% of actors who had jobs, only 2% of them were African American. And so after I found that out, I was like, oh, okay, I got to change. I got to do something else because like it wasn't realistic in my opinion at that time. And so I wanted to then provide opportunities for the next person coming up so then they can see that kind of representation on screen for themselves. So then they can follow their dreams. And that's kind of like what kind of deterred me to go more so towards the filmmaking route.
Yeah. And so what was that transition like from you going, because like, me, I'm an actor and stuff like that. And I know exactly what you're talking about. I'd be like, damn, especially with the strike that just happened, and then all the restrictions from like trying to bounce back from the quarantine and stuff like that. Like, don't trust me, it's so like I say I'm an actor, but that just means I drive for Uber.
And sometimes it'd be like that.
Yeah.
But I think the transition for me was really just it was a lot because I first dropped out of college. And then I later on came back after I realized I started doing sales, started into TV sales, shoe sales, car sales, made a ridiculous amount of money because I was just like, oh, hey, maybe school's not for me and I need to go a different route. Then found out that money doesn't equate to happiness. Then decided to, go back to school because, I'm not, my soul isn't being fed through just monetary gains. And so, I've always been a proponent of it's hard to get opportunities given to you. And so because of that, I've always throughout my entire life just had to make my own opportunities. And so, I started just making my own projects and really networking a lot, putting together, projects in order to bring people together so then I could surround myself by like-minded people to try to get my things out there.
So how did you feel about, I guess, now you do mostly directing. What is it that made you, because there's so many different jobs that you could do, like I said, behind the scenes and stuff like that. What is it that just drew you to I'm directing?
Yeah, no, I knew that beforehand that I wanted to be the type of person who can tell people yes or no. Because every single time that I would try to get out there myself, I would find out that like, oh, okay, like no one's giving me this opportunity. And so I took that as a challenge of like, oh, okay, these people don't know how to do their jobs right. So I'm going to go out there and make the jobs myself and give other people that kind of opportunity. So, that just started off with me making my own films. I remember as a kid, like I would play video games and then direct my friends in those video games as if it was like a film, and then just kind of really self-training. And later on, I was able to kind of like find my way to get onto film sets where I was capable of like watching other directors and like seeing, what their techniques and styles were, and then trying to add that to my repertoire.
And then Tess, when you had mentioned, what it is that got you into doing stand-up, I feel that's just like such a common thing with everybody. Like when they get into stand-up, like it's something like I go like, because I was depressed when I got into stand-up. I was just like, just going through it and stuff like that. What was it like when you just finally said, all right, I'm on stage, I'm telling my jokes and stuff like that, and then like that whole release afterwards? Because your jokes weren't necessarily geared towards like your family or like your dad. But did that or were they?
No.
Okay, I was about to say. some comedians will do that. Some comedians like, hey, y'all, so my dad just died, y'all.
No.
But no. Yeah, what was that like?
I took a second class with Keith Wool Jensen, and that's where I wrote my dick sucking list bit.
Okay, the Gooch Goblin.
The Gooch Goblin list. Yeah.
Okay.
So I came out in open mics practicing that list. So I wasn't a normal stand-up person from the get. I wasn't talking about my family shit, wasn't talking about my dad dying, I wasn't talking about anything like that. I legit went in, wrote something, and I was practicing that. And that's what I'm known for now. I'm known as a raunchy comic that talks about dick sucking and fucking on stage.
Yeah, and it goes head to head with your name. How did you come up with the name Tess?
Oh God. So when I started comedy, I told my mechanic I was going to be doing an open mic or a class or whatever. And he said, follow my funny on Instagram. No one has it, right? So no one knows how to spell Tess or Tess Frey, my full name. Like I just heard you having to spell out your name, kind of a thing. When you're in a noisy bar and trying to get people's attention, it just doesn't go. So Tess Tickles was a nickname, I guess, a friend of mine had for me in high school. And I hated it back then. So Saki Salceda, 4'2" Mexican dude, right? When I'd walk into a party, he'd shout at the top of his lungs from across the room, Tess Tickles! And I fucking hated it back then. But now I thank him for my stage name.
Now he gave you your stage name, and it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah,
I'm a big rap fan, like hip hop fan. So I love like the double entendres and the entendres that go with just the name Tess Tickles, because it's like it's not spelled like balls, you know what I'm saying? But it's spelled like tickles, like you're tickling somebody.
Correct.
So you like
how you hear it.
Yeah. So Tess, like Tess makes you laugh, like you tickle. You like, oh, she's tickling me. But then you also do talk a lot about dicks and genitalia.
I'm amused either way. If you get it right away, you're my kind of people. You have my mindset. But if it doesn't, it's a slow burn, and I did my job as a comedian.
Okay, cool.
Is
this the type of comedy that you're into, D'adonis? The ladies go on stage talk about the dick sucking and.
I was not prepared for this.
Yeah,
I did not get that memo.
I do it in a good way. Okay, I talk about the pleasures of pleasing a man. I try to teach the women in the audience. I don't come from a woman bashing perspective. I enjoy that.
And I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I say that in my set a couple times.
She does. I mean, because when you did what was the show that we had just did up at the at the Big Sexy Brewery? Like, I was just like everybody was just fucking laughing. Like when he was going through the whole entire just list of this Gooch Goblin, I don't know what the fuck you say, but whatever she says. The
Sword Swallower, Fellatio Freak, Gulping Goddess. I'm the master of the any color karaoke machine. Sack Sucker, Gooch Goblin, Chorizo Chopper, Cabeza Cabrona.
Yes,
yeah. And there's a few more.
And how this comes from like being depressed now to just thought about, hey, yo, guess what? I mean, like, so the transition, that's just comedy, I guess. But
the premise of the joke is true. There was a guy who walked into the bar at a time I was talking to my girlfriend about one of my intimacy issues. And we both looked like two vagina raptors trying to get our points across to this man who's standing in the middle of us. And he's just like going like this right between us two. And that's where that came from. It came from me defending what I can and cannot do in the bedroom because he said it was me, right? That I was the issue.
Mhm.
And then talking about how he's faithful to his wife and all this stuff, right? And then my friend goes to the bathroom and he asked me to go with him to his truck. So then I knew it wasn't me. And I did research. So I asked people, what do you call a woman who sucks good dick? Gives a good blowjob.
Oh, so you did research. You
Yeah.
did like a whole like Family Feud survey.
I went to a micro midget wrestling event and it was a mixed crowd, old and young, okay, all different nationalities. And I went around asking old women, old men, young men in the bathroom, at the bar, outside, everywhere. That's a degenerate event. They're going to give me some great answers. And I got a list. Then I hit the Urban Dictionary.
All right. No Becky. No Becky.
No Becky. Becky's gone.
That's the things we do to research jokes. D'adonis, you ever do it? Like, what's the most extensive research you've ever done for like a film that I'm pretty sure you ain't go out to like midget wrestling or whatever like that. But
No, but that's the next project in the works.
There you go.
I don't. As far as jokes go, I think more so my route would be. I forget what the technical term is, but they'll go do a once over on a script afterwards to try to like add in the jokes.
Oh, like a punch up or whatever. That's kind
Exactly
of
like a punch up. But no, this little people fighting is not in my repertoire.
Okay. But like, what's the most like on like film side, like getting ready to like direct a film, produce a film? Like, what's the most research or like the most like craziest thing that you've ever had to like research to get a project off the ground?
Oh man. So I am in the process or in post production for a short that was inspired by the life of Kobe Bryant. And so for research for that, I listened to a lot of interviews that he had, watched his documentary. Watched YouTube in-depth videos on like him as a person, read articles online. So I mean, I feel like with every single project, especially as a creative, you want to try to get as many influences as you can, especially trying to give credit to a real life person. But I think research is just kind of like a normal thing whenever you're trying to do something creative, at least on my end.
And then how's that going? You said it's in post-production right now?
Yeah, it's currently in post-production. We're still going through the editing process. We have some visual effects that we have to like get through, some original music that we still have to score. So it's still a little bit a ways, but we're happy with it so far.
Nice. Yeah. And so when you do these projects and stuff like that, do you have your own crew that you work with?
Yeah. So for the most part, filmmaking, you work a lot of the times with freelancers. And so depending on, what everyone's availability, usually I like to try to bring back the same people every single time if I can. Because having like a tight-knit group of creatives who, are ride or die, will be there for you in a pinch is like really essential and like can really save you on a film set, because if you bring the wrong type of vibes on a film set, like you could mess up your production, like to the point of like no return. So and I'm sure there's been plenty of instances where, I've ticked off people just, with my incompetence on set, I'm sure. So making sure that you surround yourself by like positive influences, people who know what they're doing, people who are there and down for you, is crucial into you being able to make your creative vision a reality.
Yeah, I don't think people really understand, like, especially like you say, like most of like freelancers and just how hard it is to get work in general. Like people don't understand just how much a good personality, like a good attitude and some good food will go a long way. Go a long way on a film set just to keep everybody happy, keep everybody coming back and stuff like that. Because for the most part, like especially if you're talking about like working like crew, like PAs and stuff like that, like they don't really get paid. They get paid, but they don't get. I don't feel like they would get paid what they're worth. Yeah, like the work that they do. we can relate to that in the comedy world.
No, for sure. And I think that really like good food on a set is kind of like alcoholic beverages in a comedy show, right?
Mhm.
It's like it changes people's like attitudes, like it makes people more reciprocal to like the things that you're giving, entertaining them with. And so yeah, if you can't provide the right cost to people for their work, it's a good idea at least to like feed them really well so they're not ornery on set.
Yeah. What about you, Tess? What's some of the things in like, because you over here just kicking ass doing the producer thing and stuff like that. What are some of your experiences that you learned like from like producing, like just dealing with comedians or dealing with these owners of the venue? Just things that you come across that you're like, oh wow, I didn't really expect that.
I've been kind of fortunate. The two places that I worked with in 2023 actually offered their venues to me to produce a show based on what I have done and what I can bring. Moving into 2024, I am producing a few more unique shows. We've got a wine bar in Rancho. I've got my Loose Lips on the Strip coming up on January 17th. That's going to be a full nude strip club combined with a comedy show, which is going to be great. So it's things like that. I'm trying to give back an experience not only to the audience, but to our comics as well. Because as you guys were saying and kind of commenting, PAs don't get paid much. Same as comics. Sometimes we do shows for free. And so I want to give back a little bit to our community and give us an experience.
Titties.
So,
your titties. That's all. Yeah.
Titties, pussy and ass. The whole shebang with Tess Tickles.
And what was that, January 17th?
January 17th, Pure Gold Showgirls on 3000 Sunrise Boulevard, 8 p.m. Loose Lips on the Strip, hosted by Tess Tickles and Alvin Reed Duke.
How did the idea of like comedy at a strip club?
Jackie Pearl. Shout out to the Pink Flamingo. Shout out to my girl, man. That's the mama of comedy here in Sacramento, and I love her to death. She talked about Crazy Horse in San Francisco. You've been there.
I've been to, yeah. Me and Jackie have gone to the Crazy Horse a couple of times.
So it's those stories. It's those stories that make me envious, and I have FOMO like a motherfucker, and I want to bring it to Sacramento.
So, D'adonis, if you don't know, the Crazy Horse is a strip club down there in San Francisco, and before the whole pandemic happened, they were doing like open mics, and they was doing comedy shows there in the back VIP room and stuff like that. So like whenever the girls were like on their break or like getting ready, clock in or clock out, I don't know how it works at the club, but they would just be chilling there. So we actually had an audience. People there laughing. It's like, and it's funny, like you tell the jokes and stuff like that. There's like a lot of attractive women. They're just like half naked and stuff like that. Because usually, like they're like, if you're afraid to public speak, they say you just got to imagine everybody in the crowd like naked. But I was like, no, she is naked. We ain't got to imagine nothing. There's just titties and ass right here. We can only go up from here.
Professionally, the modern day Heidi Fleiss that I'm going to be is a degenerate comedy producer.
Holy shit.
Bring your strip club.
Well, I mean, like, that's really just brilliant because, like, you literally have a captive audience that's not going anywhere.
Nowhere.
Like, you commit to going inside of a strip club. Like, that's where you're going.
Well, there's a benefit even to the patrons. They're charging them $5 less to get in during the comedy show, and you get to stay. So it's going to be the comedy show and the gentleman's club entrance combined. So there's a benefit. You get 2 in 1, and it's a discount.
All right, there you go.
Cool. Yeah, we did. I think the last show I did before the pandemic was at the strip club in Marysville, and like there's a strip club out there.
I need the name.
It's called
the manager's information.
Bottoms Up. Shout out to Wally.
Hey,
he does it. Yeah,
Wally, so I'm coming.
We're
bringing a show, Buddy. I'll book Buddy for the first show.
All right, cool. We're taking it on tour. But yeah, that was it was interesting because, like I said, there was nothing to do out there in Marysville or Yuba City as it was. So like people like showed up for like the comedy show, but then I was like, because I was hosting it, then after like, all right, y'all, now the real show's about to start, But everybody just left. It's like y'all don't want to.
I don't care though. I don't care.
But
We're in.
We're in now. That's only for the comedians. The comedians stay and chill afterwards.
Exactly. We're already in.
D'adonis, you pull it up January 17th.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely open to it.
We're gonna put you on the guest list. We'll get you in, like, even though it's already $5 off, we'll try to hook him up with something.
Heck yeah.
There we go. Oh, jeez.
Everyone following Adonis is live. I need you guys there. Pure Gold Showgirls, January 17th, 8 p.m.
They're like, what did we just clock into?
Like,
That
oh
we-
my gosh.
They're like, this is, I could just see Donna Lisa just like, what is this? Oh.
Hmm.
And then D'adonis, you're out here doing things. You recently, no, how long have you been with the CFAA?
Oh man, I think it's going on like a year now. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And what is your role like with them?
Yeah. So I'm a board member.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What made them? How did that connection happen with y'all being?
Yeah. So I know Lori, who is the chairman,
Mm.
the senior chairman of CFAA, and basically she interviewed me because she we have this relationship where it's back and forth. We both support the community. And she was just really like, I want to bring you on. I like the vibe that you have. I like what you represent, and I see you going somewhere in the future. So she wanted to, bring me on to be able to help boost up the CFAA.
Nice. That's one thing I do love about the CFAA is that y'all, like how you say, like the boost up the community. Y'all really do a lot for the film community out here in Sacramento. So one, I want to just say thank you for that. But then other thing is like, do you see the community growing? Do you see any like type of growth there? And then like because like I said before, I went to where'd I go? I went to, I don't know if you know her name is, she's an actress, her name is Tasha, and she had threw a mixer down at Tiger, and there's a lot of black people up there. And I was like, this is nice.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. It wasn't like that like 6 years ago, 7 years ago and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So just seeing the growth and the change in the community. How do you feel about it? Then also, how do you feel knowing that you're a part of it?
Yeah. I mean, it's always a challenge, right? I think just creatives in general is like always a challenge to try to figure out how to get our projects funded, right? And so something that I really do appreciate about the community is the fact that we have like people like you who are like going out of their way to like build up these events so then they can, make their own ways and paths down entertainment, right? And I really feel like that's kind of what we have to do until we get recognized and noticed, and we can build upon that. As far as where the community is going right now, I feel like it's a lot better place than it was before. I feel like, we have a new film commissioner has been in there the last couple of years who's like really kind of like boosted the presence of Sacramento, going out of her way. Shout out to Jennifer West, going out of her way to really try to make, a statement with Sacramento as a whole. And so I feel like we have a brighter future than we had before, but there's still a lot of work that has to be done.
Yeah, most definitely. Because like I say, it's definitely not. There's business out here, like that involves filming, but there is no real like industry, like no like machine like that you would take like down in like Hollywood or something like that. So everything that we do up here is really community driven. We definitely got to all like work together, collaborate to like whatever our special talents are. Yeah, and just make it work together. That's a lot like I see from similarities of like that with the comedy world, because there's something like because like the comedy world, man, like was like tight knit, like a tight knit group, like it's almost like getting initiated into a gang. Like once you're there, like we, like the motherfuckers like ride for you and shit.
Well, it sounds pretty similar to the film industry, where it's like the hardest thing to do in the film industry is to get your foot in the door, right? So then you can continue getting those jobs. So is it like similar to that?
I would say, well, because like if we're talking about like getting work, like because like if you want to do work on like you say, you gotta find it. You gotta find film work. Whereas like with the comedy world, I feel it's like you still gotta kind of find it, but you start off like say you start off at the bottom, you start with the open mic, so you go like you take a class, you kind of like it's easier to like because we have comedy clubs up here, so it's easy. Like if I want to get into comedy, I could just go to the Sacramento Comedy Spot, check out the open mic, and then talk to somebody, or I can go to the Punchline or Laughs Unlimited and talk to somebody.
I called it like Hogwarts.
Oh,
It felt
yeah,
like there was different houses of comedy.
yeah. There's the
And
Slytherin.
if you were with one, you weren't with the other.
Oh wow. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, buddy?
Yeah, I know
For
exactly what
real.
you're talking about.
Yes.
It's very like it's very
And
quick.
some would promote certain houses and like try to initiate you or tell you one's better than the other.
Oh,
you
wow.
know, kind of. Oh yeah.
Like I don't know. I always felt like that was just kind of like, because we do the same thing in the film industry where it's like we have these group of people who do one thing, these group of people who do one thing. They talk about each other.
They
and then,
do.
like,
Yeah.
they don't, cohort with each other.
Because I don't want to put any names out there because like we have the CFA,
of
then we have like the CFF, and then you have the and they just kind of
Yeah.
but they do two separate things, but they're at the same time they're like, man, we don't.
Yes. So like how I always kind of felt about that is like we're too small to not be working with each other.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's kind of like just looks bad for the community when some people walk around thinking they're higher than thou and not working together, because essentially we're all trying to get discovered. We're all trying to do our own creative pursuits. And if we're not like working together, then we're all small, big fish in a small pond, as they say, right? Where it's, it inflates egos, unfortunately, and sometimes this happens. I moved around a lot as a kid, so I could see kind of whatever city that I went into, I would always realize they always think they're going to be the next Hollywood, right? They always think they're going to be the next hottest thing. But then having this outside perspective of being like, oh, okay, well, you're just like every other place that we've been to. Like, you have to change your mentality to be like, we're all working together in order to achieve the same goal. And I think that's just a missed opportunity for everyone. Is it kind of like similar, like that in comedy?
I think everyone's on their own journey.
Yeah.
To be honest,
But
some are grinding like Buddy and I, and some honestly I think use the stage as therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends.
Facts. Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah, no, we do that too. I'll make some films that is like working out some problems internally for myself, for sure.
Yeah, the one biggest difference I would say is that like when you're doing comedy, like you're just up there by yourself. Whereas as opposed with like with filmmaking and stuff like that, you actually need it's a necessity like from the comedy world too, but definitely like the parallels between is like we have egos, but like I think it's just because like we have to carry ourselves like that, because when we're on stage or when we are going out there, it's really just us. Unless we're like, we could be road tripping to a show together with people. But like I said, when we're just on that stage, it's like it's just us.
It's like your time to shine. But I would still argue that that's still like a team sport. So much like how film is a team sport, I feel like if you are the only person in a comedy show and you're the only headliner, you don't have any openers, like it's a lot harder to sell tickets. I'm assuming like you guys either sell tickets or you're bringing your crowd, right? And then you're not exposing yourself to new audiences who can then follow you and expand, your follow base. So I feel like comedy is still like a group sport when you're doing stand-up, because like you have to have, it's like everyone coming together for a single show, expanding everyone's audience, and like you're trying to tackle the problem of selling out, right? And selling seats, getting butts and seats, and selling drinks. Which
I wish it was. I wish it was like that. But you be having shows where like you book somebody on the show, you send them the flyer that they don't even post it till like a couple hours after, a couple hours before the show, or it's just
it's like everyone's trying to be the MVP.
Yeah, everybody's trying to be Kobe. And
some of them, like he said, don't practice like Kobe.
Yeah, you smush Parker.
Yeah. They don't got the promotions like Kobe. They don't got the sponsorships like Kobe. You know what I mean? But what they want to act like Kobe, they want to be treated like Kobe.
So what would you recommend to a new comedian who's out there trying to do stand up? Like what should their entryway?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Anybody like I'll let Tess go. Then
Are you financially stable? Can you afford to be out 3 to 4 times a night? Pay bar tabs that you shouldn't be paying for. That's mine right now. Yeah. But I think honestly, it depends on what type of comic you want to be, what type of road you want to take. Some people generally think that they're funny. Their life stories are funny. Their work stories are funny. The characters in their lives are funny. And they'll get up there and they'll talk about that. there's other comics, like I said, like myself, I take classes. I studied, I practiced. Like there's comics that will tease me and say they can say my set verbatim. Well,
But that's
guess
good.
what? I'm not going to bomb.
Yeah, that's good. That's what
when
you
the
want,
time
though.
counts. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of like everyone's in it for their own different goals and perspectives. Some want daily affirmations, some have long-term goals. Yeah, I'm in it for right now. It feeds me. It provides me fun. I love this lifestyle. I love this community. I do well in it. Right now I'm finding more of a niche in producing. It's actually where the money is. But just saying, you know what I mean? So
So I mean, like I feel like that's also kind of a similarity with film. I've heard many times that film is probably like the stupidest hobby you can ever have. Why? Because you're spending thousands of dollars on equipment, on hiring people, because you can't shoot. I mean, you could shoot everything by yourself, but you really can't shoot everything. It's something decent, like completely by yourself. If you are, you're a freaking madman, you're crazy, or mad woman, what have you. So like it's an expensive hobby with little chance of actually having anyone buy or purchase anything. And unlike comedy, where you have a captive audience, you have to find your captive audience and then captivate them in a way where you want them to keep coming back and supporting your art. So yeah, that's a struggle.
But even having an audience,
that's the hardest part. Because that's even what
they want a bigger audience. They want their audience to be louder.
That's the struggle. That's the struggle that I've been trying to figure out.
They forgot that audience, and they're on to the next audience.
Well, I mean, I think you're really on the right path because when I first came to Sacramento, and right before I started film school, I was trying to, or while I was in film school, and before I shot my first like live action project, because I did stuff in video games. The struggle that I was trying to have is figuring out how to fund my projects, because I saw that was a huge problem that most filmmakers have. And so what I ended up doing when I was at Sacramento State trying to figure out how to fund my first project was I kind of went like the route that you went, where it was I got together a bunch of film students, got together a bunch of local indie filmmakers, and then rented out a theater location and showed off everyone else's films. I didn't have a single film in that whatsoever. And not only did that help cultivate, networking opportunities for me and like get my name out there and stuff, but it helped funded my future projects and really like helped change my mind and like how to go about filmmaking and creating opportunities for yourself. So I think when it comes to comedy for you guys, like that's probably the route you should continue going, is producing your own shows. So then that you can actually take the money from that, the funding from that, and invest in yourself to doing the thing you want to do.
Yeah, my motto has always been like with comedy, especially like when putting together like my whole funny business team and stuff like that, is like, yo, if we could produce a comedy show, then we could produce a movie. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the same blueprint and stuff like that. Of course, things are gonna, some different variables and stuff like that. But the overall process of, like you say, getting people together, making sure everybody else, has their own unique talents that they bring to the table, from like if it's finding a venue to, if I'm trying to find a venue to throw a comedy show, a venue to shoot the film at. If I need actors, I know I have, comedians. It's all basically kind of the same. So you just kind of, that's what I've been trying to preach this year. And that's why I've been producing a whole lot of shows this year. It was just trying to figure out, like you say, because it's like filmmaking. I love filmmaking. I love filmmaking with a passion, but it's an expensive ass hobby.
Tell me about it. Like I said, it's probably one of the stupidest hobbies someone can have.
I'd like to see some type of gala or awards, something where we honor multi-different facets of arts within Sacramento. Because like Poetry Day, they had the Poetry Gala. I know that they have something for film, I think once a year. I can't remember what it is. They have the Sammys where it's more like music and things like that. You know what I mean? But there's not really anything, especially for comedy, but that does all different aspects. Because being in comedy, I've met singers, I've met burlesque dancers, I've met, you know what I mean? Just a variety of different artists that aren't recognized within the community or have their special moment, if you will.
Do you think that's like a Sacramento thing though? Like where like they just like Sacramento in general just doesn't appreciate the arts that we do have out there? Because there's a strong like just
I think that there's something that we could work together collectively with all these different communities to recognize and give us that.
What I think that will kind of take in order for art to kind of get out there more in the community is it takes a leader like you guys to realize that there's this problem and then go out and try to solve it yourself, because otherwise there's no one's coming to save us.
Not
right?
at all. No, Hollywood's like, nah, y'all are cool.
Yeah, like no one's coming in to do, to help us in our dream or try to promote the community the way that we are passionate about this community. A lot of the times, for an industry to get made, it takes someone with financial dependence on the area to be like, I am taking my money and I'm deciding to do it here. There's better places for me to do it, but I'm specifically going to put my foot into the sand here and do it here. So I think that's kind of like what it would take. And like, you're already kind of doing those necessary steps in order to make that kind of community with your guys' events. So maybe it's something that all three of us should get together and like make something in the community, because it definitely needs it for sure.
Yeah, and like so me and you, we both worked on blind spotting together. You worked on like bigger productions like that. Is that something that you think is feasible to happen up here in Sacramento?
Ooh, okay. So let's get real here. Can we get real here for a second?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so working on blind spotting, for people who don't know, blind spotting was a movie that spun off into a television series by Lionsgate and Stars. So they were shooting out in
Oakland. Yeah, we both filmed on the same season 1. I was the stand-in for Benjamin Turner.
There you go.
Yeah. And then what were you doing on the?
I was a PA on that, production assistant. And so the issue that production kind of had was that, the showrunners wanted to try to shoot everything in Oakland, which would have been a great thing to have in Oakland because it's like supporting the local community, which is what the showrunners were all about. They're from the Bay. Like that's kind of what they were going for. But the issue is that when it comes to production, especially in anywhere else outside of Los Angeles, unless that there's specific taxes that are reduced or like tax incentives that are given, it's hard to shoot outside of LA because LA has this infrastructure that allows productions a lot more leeway in what they're trying to do creatively. What do I mean by that? What they'll typically end up doing, and what they did for blind spotting, is they'll shoot all of the interior scenes on something called a soundstage. And what a soundstage is a big, very, very big building where they can build smaller sets inside of this big building and fabricate interiors, right? And so by doing that, what ends up happening is that we don't have that kind of infrastructure out here in Northern California, really. We maybe have a couple of places, but not enough to the point where productions have the infrastructure to support themselves for long term, right? And so they're capable of doing that, but it's cheaper in order to build those sets in Los Angeles, shoot out all those interiors there, and then go to wherever they want to go for the exteriors.
Just be up there for like 2 weeks.
And just be up there for 2 weeks when a production, for shooting can be like 3 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or, up to a year or what have you. So I think that when we're speaking specifically about Sacramento, the thing that we're missing is that we need sound stages and we need larger areas of rental productions, equipment. And so we have a couple of places out here, but enough to support a bigger production like that from like Lionsgate or Stars. We're kind of lacking that right now. And so what I think it'll take is someone with finances who's like gung-ho on specifically doing stuff here in Sacramento area and being like, hey, I want to specifically make a base here in Sacramento. And they have that foothold here and then just want to invest that way.
Yeah, because they did a news article about that, or it was on the news. They was trying to propose building a soundstage at Cal Expo. I'm not so sure about that. Cal Expo might be the best spot for it, but I definitely see. I don't know if I can see that happening though.
Yeah, I think ideally Cal Expo would be a really great place to do that. We would need several different sound stages. So maybe something like an old Air Force base, because I know we have a couple of those up here, would be really, really great because they have those hangars that are like big enough, and they also have like the overhang things where you can like make a grid for lights. and set up that way. But yeah, like I said, I think that we would just need a lot of money in order to do that. And until, everyone else sees the viability of that, like it's just an uphill battle.
Super uphill. Until then, it's just a dream and a fantasy. But yeah. What was your experience like working on Blind Spotting? Was that the biggest? Was that like the biggest production that you worked on up here, or what?
No.
Let's go through that. What other productions have you worked on?
Yeah, too many to count. But the ones of note, the biggest one that I worked on was actually a Marvel movie.
Was it Ant-Man or Venom?
No, it was Shang-Chi.
Oh, Shang-Chi. Okay.
It was Shang-Chi. They were shooting up in San Francisco, and I was there for the busts scenes and some of the exterior shots. It was the same problem, right?
Yeah.
They shoot all the interiors in Los Angeles, and they shoot the exteriors up here. So yeah, no, it was for mostly those bus scenes, which were just really kind of cool to see. But like that really gave me the perspective of being like, oh man, like we really aren't, like I'm doing nothing compared to, big time Hollywood. Like this is, the equivalent of doing stand up at a bar than doing stand up like at a Kevin.
Yeah, it's the difference between y'all guess what, I'm about to go sell out the motherfucking the bar
Yeah,
down the corner, as opposed to like, I'm selling out the punchline or something like that, or even like Golden One or something like that. It's night and day. It is
Exactly.
definitely night and day.
Exactly. So like I definitely looked at that of being like, oh, okay, yeah, I get a lot of like local love out here in Sacramento. But like really, I'm just I call myself a big fish in a small pond, because what I do means nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing in comparison.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like when I tell people like, oh yeah, man, I was an extra in like Venom, or I was an extra in the Matrix 4, then people out here like, oh, that's cool. But then like me knowing just what it is like to be an extra and be a background, like that's really just entry level work into the film industry. Then you gotta, keep finding the work. And like how you say, like whenever we hear like projects are coming into the area, we're like, oh, all right, cool, man, we about to be eating. But then when you find out like, oh, we're only up here for a week. You're like, oh, so what the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
So what's that for like a comedian? Like, is there a specific like milestone that you hit to be like, oh, okay, like now I've like gone to where I want to be in my line of work?
No, I don't know. I think it's weird because social media really changed the game for comedians and stuff like that, to where like I think like maybe like 5 years ago or 6 years ago, like when I first started doing comedy, they was all like, say the main goal was to, get past that, like one of the local clubs that you kind of like, there's like that infrastructure to get like moved up.
Yeah.
But then like with social media and just being in front of people's face, it kind of like changed everything with that. Like where like there was a strong period of time where like they're like, if you have a certain amount of followers, they're like, oh, we're gonna book you for this club show, or just things like that.
I think that also too, it depends on the type of comic you are. I set goals for myself each month, right? So June was get the fuck out of Sac month for me. And I did like 7 shows out of Sacramento, Reno, Fresno, Bay Area, Avery, California, just different shows. And some shows or some months I'll be, okay, I want to work with this producer. I want to do this show. I want to write 5 new jokes. I want to, build my following. I want to work on my flyers. I want to work on my social media a little more. So I think I feel like you should set goals for yourself, and that's how you continue to excel.
Yeah, I know this year was definitely for me, it was just like focus on produce, produce however many shows you can, just to, like I said, learn the business aspect of it, learn how to talk to these venue owners and stuff like that. What is good, like negotiating tools and tactics? What is it that I could bring to the table that'll now bring value to this venue that I'm doing the shows at? And then now going into 2024, my main goal is, like I said, with the social media, it's like I just need to produce content. And then know the type of comedian that I am. I'm not the type of comedian that's just gonna get up and like put camera up there, like, hey, y'all look at that, and I'm here. We all out here. We're like, oh! Like that's
no, but you do enough shit.
But you do enough shit, and that's where
you got to film something.
Yeah, that's where the whole podcast comes in and all that good jazz.
No, absolutely.
Yep.
What as far as like with filmmaking with you, has social media kind of like changed the game for that aspect of just how you would like to put yourself out there and get people to recognize you and stuff like that, like Tubi, for instance, and stuff like that. Like I remember people like giving Tubi like shit, but I'm all like, I don't know. I would not mind putting my stuff like go that route. Like
Yeah. Well, Tubi gets a lot of smack for sure. I'm not even going front about that. But I think what's cool about it is that it provides filmmakers an opportunity to earn back money on their projects, which, you know, as an indie filmmaker, like there's very few ways for us to actually earn revenue in our projects. So the fact that we have something like that, the fact that we have, you know, something like Amazon, you know, iTunes, like that allows us to make some kind of like financial, like if you could break even really in filmmaking, it's just like you're winning that way.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure. But yeah, no, I think that going the business route and like really figuring out like how everything kind of operates. And I think that a lot of times some filmmakers are really reluctant to do that because, you know, sometimes we're focused really on just like the creative and like we're just like focused on that. Like we don't really want to do the business aspect. But I'm sure that's similar to comedy and like trying to figure out like how do you make a living off of what you're doing, and you can't do that unless you have kind of like that business minded aspect to it.
And if you don't, you got to find somebody that does. That was my main deal. So let me just find somebody that cares about the business stuff to like put it in my head. Like, nah, buddy, this is important. But get on this, do that. I didn't think that was important, but all right, I guess it is important.
Yeah, but you know, going back to your question, you know, for me, when it comes to my social media presence, like I find it as an opportunity of, you know, really in my own mind, kind of like how you were saying, you guys were focusing on producing shows. I was like, I need to get word out there myself for directing, that I am a director and that I know what I'm doing and that I went to school for this and that, you know, I worked my way up, you know, from the bottom and being a production assistant on sets. And so I think you know, you really have to put yourself into the mentality of like, this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to do nothing else. I was speaking to a friend recently who really kind of like gave me a good mind shift of how to not feel sorry for myself. And he was a writer, also a filmmaker, an actor. And something that he said to me was like, when he was going through a hard time and being like, why am I waking up every single morning writing, like going through, you know, all this struggle of trying to do something with no gain. Right. And he was like, oh, because this is just what I do. Mm-hmm. Right. And like, I love the simple premise of just being like, this is the mentality that I'm in, that it is not work for me. This is just something that I get up just the same way that I breathe, just the same way that I eat, just the same way I got to use a bathroom. Like, this is just a part of me. This is what I do. It's not a duty. It's not work. It's just who I am. And I think that's kind of the mentality that you have to be when you are a filmmaker.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I had to, like sit up and accept, like, cause I'd be like, look, I was like, man, why? Like, cause I was submitting for like jobs like a couple months ago or whatever. And I was just looking at my resume. I was like, damn, I got a lot of fucking jobs on my resume. I was like, why the hell do I have so many jobs? I'm like, oh, cause all these jobs I just happen to quit because I just have to get like work on like some type of film project. I'm like, cause this is just what I do. You know, I'm saying, like at the end of the day, like this is what I do. I can't help but to not do this. So when an opportunity comes around, I'm like, yeah, that job. Let's just let's just do this because I can see myself working other jobs. I can't see myself not making films. You know. What about you, Tess? How you feel with the comedy and doing stand-up? Like with you doing it, let's say you're in it 3 years, and do you feel like you've been doing it a long time?
No, I still feel like a newbie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, because it definitely feels like, how long have you been making films for?
Oh man, if you include video games, forever. Yeah. But you know, if you're including like the industry, about like 5 years.
Yes.
So I still feel new to it.
Yeah, definitely feel new to it and stuff. And the thing that's like, I don't want to say sucks about it, but like we're so new up here, but like especially like with the film, like there's no real like people to look up to be like we've been doing it for, like you said, 5 years. I've been doing it for about like 8-9 years and stuff like that. Like we're the veterans.
That's a scary thought.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm saying, like we're like not the base of the bears, but like we like it is so much where you like, because I feel like after a while people just get kind of burnt out in Sacramento, where they either just like I said, they don't, like too many people up here do it for like the fame of it, like the whole aspect of like being famous or like having their movies in theaters and stuff like that, but not understanding that's not really like what it is up here. So they either get burnt out or they just after a while they just say, I'm gonna just move out to LA.
We don't have something to relate that to, right? We, like you were saying, we don't have like a big banana who's here.
Yeah,
That's kind of like being like, hey, okay, that's kind of like what I, map out my life towards if I'm trying to go for that specific thing. We don't really have that. And, that's a common problem, especially with production assistants up here. Because usually what ends up happening with everyone as a production assistant, either you get burnt out in Sacramento as a production assistant, or you do a move. You move to the Bay Area or you move to Los Angeles. And like that was something that even came up with me like over the past like year or so, because I was like, hitting this glass ceiling of being like, oh, okay, is this how I spend the rest of my life, like as a production assistant, trying to keep moving up, even though I have this experience here, I'm still getting offered jobs here. And so like, I think it takes that mentality shift of being like, no, I'm going to be going for the things that I'm passionate about. Kind of like how you guys had of being like, okay, well, I can either, stop doing it, or I could find a way to make it work.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel you get that? Like, cause like I said, like I had to travel out to the Bay Area to kind of find those types of people and stuff like that. So like when I was working on Last Black Man in San Francisco, I met people like Roy Ellis. I met Alba. I met like, all these people. Then like when I was working on Blind Spot, I met you. I met a day. I met Sarah. I'll fuck up his name and stuff like that. But
Soretzi.
Was it Soretzi? Okay, cool. Yeah, who does the Black Film Connect and all that stuff. That's kind of where I had to go to kind of see that, like, oh, okay, it is possible. I see people doing these things. I see people move. Or Hilton for one, is the one that, like, if you look at somebody like, okay, he moved up, he's doing his thing now and stuff like that. That's really what I had to do to keep that belief in myself and stuff like that. Tess, with you say you going out to to the Bay Area and stuff like that, do you definitely feel like that? Like when you go out to other cities and stuff like that, you kind of like take that back with you to Sacramento, like, oh, okay, I can do this because I see people out here. I don't want to say, because I think that one thing that's different between Sacramento there's a very strong comedy scene up here, whereas you kind of establish a career in comedy because we like how we don't have sound stages up here. We have comedy clubs, so we at any given time, especially before the pandemic, we had Tommy T's up in the Folsom Ranch Cordova area. Then we had the Punchline in the Arden area. Then we had Laughs Limited in Old Sac. And then we had like the Comedy Spot in Midtown and stuff like that. We had like about 4 to 5 different comedy clubs up here, to where 3 of them you could see like a headlining comedian every weekend. And if you want to, you can make a trail of it where you can start off in Tommy T's. I'm gonna go catch the first show at Tommy T's. Then I'm gonna shoot down, and I'm gonna go to Punchline, try to check some of that show. And then I'm gonna go shoot down to Laughs Unlimited, see whoever is headlining there. Like the opportunity to grow and learn in the comedy world is definitely here compared to, like, it's not really necessarily here in the film.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like most of the times during my come up of the film industry, I was driving to the Bay Area. I probably got maybe, I would say, 1 job up in Sacramento every 2 to 3 months. So all of my jobs while I was working in the film industry was in the Bay Area. And so I think that stems from, not having, missing that kind of infrastructure. And like most of the work in film that's up here in Northern California is commercial work, where they have smaller sized crews.
Yeah.
And so when you're having a smaller sized crew working with like a smaller tight budget, usually you don't need a lot of assistance on that project, where you have the chance to kind of grow and further your career. And so any production assistant who was taking their job seriously, like it's why we were burning out. It was why we stopped pursuing what we were doing, or we moved, because I was using a lot of gas. It was a lot of gas, and I was ashamed of saying it then, but I could say now that I'm surrounded by friends, like there'd be times where I would be, pulled over, sleeping on the side of the road because I had a call, the next morning, 6 a.m., which means I would have had to leave my house at like 3 a.m. And it was just. Oh, my word. I remember like when I was working on Last Black Man in San Francisco. I think like the last week or so, week and a half. I was like, I'm gonna just sleep in my car for this shoot. I'm gonna just go back home up on the weekends and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm like, because like
the turnaround time is it's not friendly. It's not friendly at all.
No, exactly.
Mhm.
That sucks.
I don't know. That's like I just do
No,
my set and then I leave.
I agree to the location and the distance, and then I try to carpool if it's too far.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, that's the one difference. So like we just need to, like, if we're doing the show, we just need to be there for that 2 hours. Like if we're on a film set, especially like how you're talking about doing PA work, or like me, most of the work that I do is stand-in work. Like we're there for like at least 14 hours, somewhere between 12 to 14 hours, and then turn around, go back up to Sacramento, and then we get that, and then they don't send you the call time until like
That's
until
when
like.
you need to hook up
Oh,
a Tinder
fuck.
the week before.
Yeah, that's where the networking comes in. That's where the networking comes in, and you got to find somebody like, hey, girl, what's going on? I mean, so you sleepy? I'm sleepy. Let's just go.
Settle for a week, bitch.
Oh yeah, those trips and stuff like that. Now I remember, oh my word, I keep going back to like I was like blind spotted. I remember that last day of work where they had the rainstorm and shit like that. That was, you remember that?
Oh yeah. I'm trying not to.
Those are what we always have those sets that those film production sets that you're on where you're like you're like, oh, this is horrible. You're like, why? Like you gotta like you're that those sets, they really like reaffirm that, like, oh, I really love this shit.
No, for sure. I'm not going to talk about blind spotting. I'm going to talk about a different time on set.
Okay.
But there was a time where I was on set and it was super rainy and the equipment fell because of the windstorms, and they canceled the PA's lunches so then that we can go pick up equipment that day. Sets like that, that kind of makes you think of like, oh man, like what am I doing with my life? And it goes back to like what we were saying before of like just being passionate about what you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like understanding like, hey, this is what I do, right? Every single day I'm going to get up understanding that this is what I do, but you also have to have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the Denzel Washington quote, but he was, something on the lines of, a dream without a plan is in so many words dumb, right? Like it's just a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to know going into it, like what you're really going for, what you're wanting to do with your life, because then otherwise, like how are you supposed to achieve any of your goals or aspirations? So making sure that that's kind of like the route that you want to go by having that goal in mind is very important.
Mm-hmm. And do you take that now, like the experiences that you've had being on these big productions, now when you direct your own short films and stuff like that, what do you take from being on those productions into now your own productions?
Sure. I would say attitude on set, especially if you're producing or directing a project, making sure that you have the right vibe on set, because everyone's going to feed off of your energy, especially as a leader, right? Same thing if you're a manager or a boss at a job, right? You have to make sure that you come in with the mentality of, yes, you're there to do business, but no, you're not going to be a hard ass about everything, because most likely everyone's there is not getting paid what they're worth. They're spending way too much time on a shoot day in order to film there. And they may or may not be tired already from trying to find a way to get there to work for you, just for you to be an asshole,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I think definitely having that mentality of like, I am here for the crew. I work for them, not the other way around. I also spend a lot of time watching directors and really just kind of like seeing what worked with them, comparing them to each other. Because while I was going to film school, like there were certain aspects in film school that I really appreciated about theory, but I gained a lot of experience from working on film sets and being able to watch other directors and seeing really like what their differences were and what worked and what didn't work, so I can add that to how I directed, my style of directing. So I'd say watching an in-person experience on set was something that I really take away and I like to bring onto my own sets.
Okay, the test, like same thing basically. Like, has there been like from you going out trying to get booked, getting booked, doing other people's shows? What is it that you take away from that you now bring into producing your own shows? Are they like easy, like, I'm just definitely not gonna mess with them, or I know like producing, this is my approach to ask comedians to be on the show, the vibe that I'm gonna present when I'm there at the venue. Like what are those things?
I mean, on myself, what I bring to the show, I'm just me. I show up on time. I ask questions ahead of time. I set myself up for success. I try to do the same and give the same information to my comic that I'm booking. You hear a lot of different feedbacks, right? Some people will say, pay your comics ahead of time. Don't pay them after the show. Others will say, don't pay them beforehand because they may not show up. Pay them after the show. You know what I mean? So you just kind of learn. I think it's trial and error. Like you said, this year's a year or 2023 was a year for producing. It's a matter of just doing it, right? It's just when we started comedy and getting up on stage at that open mic, it's do the work. That's the motto in Sacramento, DTW, do the work.
Do the work. Yeah. Who was that started that? DT. Oh,
Matt Medina.
Matt Medina. He left.
Yeah, he's in Denver now. But there's a bunch of them that are still part of that. Stevie C, Cameron Almada, Julian Lacrosse. There's quite a few. Sam Mallet. They were all part of that. Danny D has a jacket.
But they're all doing stuff. Though.
They're all
putting in the work. Julian especially, man. I think Julian, he be putting some stuff out on Facebook that makes people want to give him shit. But he, I'm like, all right, yeah. But aside from that, like he really be like putting in the work as far as like producing shows. Like I was producing shows at like maybe like 4 or 5 different venues, like at like a time, and he was probably doing it the same thing. But the only difference, like I had to be a business partner that was helping me manage all this shit. He, for the most part, I think he was just doing it by himself.
He has help. When he first took on a lot of his rooms, it was taken over from another gentleman who's no longer in Sacramento. So a lot of his rooms were handed to him, but I think like Henry's is all him. Players he's passed to David Thorne.
Yep.
And then now he has Street. And then he just handed over McNally's to Jacob Slider in Oakland as well. And then he has like Blunts and More.
The Blunts and More.
Blunts and More, yeah.
So he does a comedy show at a weed dispensary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Yeah. So a lot of different unique venues, a lot of open mics.
Mm-hmm.
He has shows that 39 handles, 36 handles up in El Dorado Hills. So I've asked him a lot of advice producing and what did he do? What does he suggest? What do you think of this? Kind of a thing. We don't always agree.
Oh, of course.
But,
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's what you do? Okay, I won't do that. I'll be sure not to do that. And then D'adonis, so as far as like with short films and stuff like that, is there one particular, or we could go through a list of like just production that you just like, yeah, I did that shit. Like, you proud of like what is done, because money aside, because we know we're not making any money with this stuff, but just things that you say, okay, cool, this I made this shit.
Yeah, every single one of my projects.
Exactly. Good.
Not to be big-headed. Not because all of my projects are great. Just because I feel like every single project I make, I'm always trying to like push not the envelope, but I'm always trying to push, my abilities to do something that I either haven't done before or that, I'm under some kind of restraints where I can really kind of learn how to get better. And so I think with every single one of my projects, I've tried to up the ante of like what I'm doing every single time. So I'm proud of all of my projects. And, that's really a credit to the people around me because I'm not making these projects by myself. Like I have a team that's dedicated to the work. That's like really kind of really the ones who are bringing everything together to make a project in the first place. So I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of them. I'm proud of every single one of my projects.
His own DTW.
He's produced. Yeah, he has his own DTW team, the Do the Work team. That's right. What it is and stuff like that.
What about you? Do you have like any like comedy shows that like you're really fond of, or like you look back at and you're like, oh man, I'm really proud of how that went off?
I'm actually just proud of myself in general. 2023 was my first year to produce shows. What I did at Queen of Sheba, it was a 420 friendly show, kind of a little speakeasy. You walk in, You think it's an Ethiopian restaurant, but you get to the patio and there we are.
Smoking weed, just chilling. Yeah.
Laughing and having a good old time. So I was proud of that. I was proud to work with Front Street and bring their first comedy showcase. They produce a open mic every Saturday, and so we have a lot of comics going there and doing the work. So I wanted to showcase them, and so I hosted a showcase every second Saturday where we try to get donations and stuff to keep Front Street open because it is a nonprofit. So appreciate Dennis and all he's done for us with that. I did stop December with my last show there. So 2024 will be all open mics out at Front Street. Yeah. But I am excited for my Loose Lips on the Strip, that show coming up on January 17th. Drink Easy Wines, that's going to be every first Friday in Rancho Cordova. But I've got a spicy Sunday afternoon with Tess Tickles coming up. And that one's going to be February 4th. It is a $60 ticket, ladies, but it is well worth it. You're going to get a complimentary drink, some finger foods to snack on. You will have comedy from 4 ladies locally in Sacramento: Asia May, Danny D, Jackie Pearl, and Lord Masayon.
Okay.
Yep. So they will be there. We will have a sultry local singer named Amanda Belt. She will be singing for us some sexy songs. We have Rico, the healer Gordon. He'll be doing massage. So all ladies come prepared to get
say Rico the Great.
Their hand. Oh, he is Rico the Great. Trust me.
Oh.
Afterwards, you'll call him that. And then we have Colleen B Photography coming in, and Colby Photography, and she's going to be doing boudoir tutorial and then giving everyone a digital boudoir photo shoot.
Oh, wow.
And then burlesque with Cha Cha Bernadette, and she will be headlining for us and putting us a great show. She's at Darling Clementine's at Harlow's every month.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like a
She's
variety
great.
show. It's not just.
It is a variety show. It's kind of, like I said, pulling all my little worlds and talented people all together. Oh, I can't forget Auntie Vice. If you don't know Auntie Vice, she has an adult podcast, and she does adult toy review as well. So she will be there giving some bedroom tips to the ladies.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, so some workshops and, some entertainment and getting them fired up for you guys for Valentine's Day.
So when a comedian does a set, like how long are your guys' sets usually? Or like what is the time span?
It depends on how much we're booked for. I think the most time that I've ever done was 45 minutes for and I was always supposed to do 30, but they did. It was out in I did it for the University of Reno, their student night or whatever, something like that. Yeah, I was always supposed to do 30 minutes, but there's there's like an improv team that was supposed to go up after me, but they wasn't really ready, so they just never gave me the light. And they just have just keep going. Like I was prepared for like 30 minutes. And I was like looking up, I was like, oh shit. I got to my last 3 jokes. I was like, oh shit, they didn't give me the light or nothing. And I looked at my thing and I was like, it's like 40 minutes. Like, what the fuck am I doing up here for, man? I should have been off 10 minutes ago. But yeah, I think So yeah, the most time that I've done that I was booked for was 45 minutes. It all depends. I've done I was down in LA maybe like in September for this comedy convention, and I think I maybe like 3 minutes. That was one thing I noticed too. Like I'm like only like 3 minutes. I was like, God damn, what am I gonna do?
Dang, I can't even do my list in 3 minutes.
What am I gonna do? Yeah, you only go get to the Gooch Goblin, and then that's a wrap. But yeah, from 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, yeah, it all just depends on what we're booked for.
I've done 20 as a headliner. That's been my most. I mean, I could probably push it to 30 if I really worked on it, but yeah.
So then like what usually is like someone who's starting off, like how long of a set do people like try to go for when they're doing stand-up?
You start with 5.
Yeah, usually start with 5. Yeah, start with 5.
You keep building.
And 5 minutes of material. Not just go to, some people just go up on 5 minutes, go up there, just give a big ass therapy session for 5 minutes. We're like, now we just need like 5 minutes of like material that you've written down. You went out there, you practiced, wherever you go to. If you go to the Touch of Class, if you go to the comedy spot, you go to Punchline, if you go to Laughs Unlimited, wherever you go, that it's just that 5 minutes is just going to hit. Because then now you can go to these other clubs and stuff like, hey man, let me just get a cool little guest set. Like, all right, cool, I'll give you 5 minutes. And yeah, nothing more just to start off with just 5 minutes. Mm-hmm.
Nice. And then what amount would be like, oh, okay, I'm not headliner yet, but like I'm getting in my, like I'm somebody now.
15.
15. Yeah, I say yeah. So solid 15. That's about enough time to get, because then the audience get enough type of audience to know you, feel your opinion out. After the show, like I feel that's enough time for people to like afterwards go and buy merch. That's how I know if I got like a long enough set. If I did long enough, like afterwards, people would like come up to me, buy merch and stuff like that. That kind of sets the bar. Like, okay, that's enough time.
Yeah, as an opener or guest set, you're looking at anywhere from 5, 7 to 10 minutes, just depending on the producers, how they have it set up, how many people they have on it, and things like that. But I think once you get past that 15 minutes, because you could be a feature at 15, depending on the lineup, depending on where you're going to. So, I still feel like I'm not a headliner yet. I've been booked as a headliner a few times. I have one book coming up. But I look at the list, I look at the show and I make sure I'm a headliner for that show. But yeah, take your shot. You got to do it once to do it.
Yeah. And then when you go into like producing like your own project, stuff like that, is that something that comes into your mind, like the time factor as far as like, okay, I'm about to make like this 15-minute short film or a 20-minute short film or 5-minute short film?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because there are film festivals that have limits to how long your film can be. And so I know like some productions will even like make different cuts, right? They'll be like, oh, this was the director's cut. And it's really just the normal video, not chopped up to fit into a festival.
Mm.
So like, I think the money spot is like 10 minutes. If you can have like a solid 10-minute short, that would probably be ideal. Just because typically if you make like a 20 or 30-minute short, which is 30 minutes is technically still a short, you start running into like film festivals being like, oh, okay, do I want this one 30-minute short or do I want 3 10-minute shorts? Because what they're worried about is like filling in seats, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just a broader audience that way. So like, I think the money spot is like 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the project itself. It's like the sweet spot.
Yeah, I think like if after 30 minutes or whatever, you might as well just try to make it a feature.
Yeah, because I think I think the definition of what qualifies as a feature is, I think it's over like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is, that's nothing compared to, film world, right?
Yeah.
But if you're going to invest all that time, like it's tough because you have to be keeping people's attention for a long time. And in the world where, we're putting out 3-hour movies now, and I feel like that's a little bit harder to do when there's so much good content that's at like such a higher grade than what we indie filmmakers can kind of make.
Yeah. Is there like an avenue or a platform for like just short films to be seen?
I'm sure there is. There's this one little place called YouTube that's pretty popular.
Mm-hmm.
You can give out, your projects for free for people to see to try to build your audience. Because a lot of that is, trying to get people to come back. But as far as like making money wise, we talked about Tubi earlier, Amazon, but sometimes some of the harder things to do is that you have to, especially with like iTunes, like you have to go through, I forget what the technical term for these types of companies are, but they're the ones who allow you to put up your films on those platforms. The problem with them is that because they're gatekeepers, it's hard to get them to say yes unless you have a feature film. So going the iTunes route is a little bit harder in that regard. So I would say probably Tubi or for free YouTube, which, like I said, filmmaking is a stupid hobby to have because it's so expensive and there's very few avenues to try to earn money back on your investment. So when you're making a short film, you're really either doing it to pat yourself on the back as a filmmaker to be like, hey, look what I can make, try to gain recognition, try to add it to your reel. But if you're not utilizing those avenues in a way to boost your career, then you're just wasting your time making short film after short film for what?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then who are some of your favorite actors and crew people that you have worked with?
Oh man, that's
that's the one that you told me before. Like don't put people on the spot like that. But
no. When you try to list stuff, right? Yeah. It's always hard. It's hard for me to list like my favorite actors because I love working with all my actors. But I think the best actors to work with are the ones who have a positive attitude, who really dedicate themselves to their craft. I have a lot of respect for actors because, I went into filmmaking wanting to act first. And so, I really do hold them in high esteem. But I would say, some of my favorite actors to work with are the ones that are super dedicated to their craft. They're about their business, they're about working. And typically, if I can, I'll try to bring back the same actors that I worked with before. But yeah, because it's all about building a team. And if you can find someone who is going for the same goal as you, that's ideal for everyone involved.
And then Tess, I know for a lot of comedians, we'll say, depending on how far they want to take it and stuff, their goal is, I want to be in the movies and stuff like that. Do you see yourself just being in that lane of, I'm just going to be a comedian and just be doing shows, or do you see yourself eventually being, because I know you did a commercial or something like that. What was that like being on set, and then do you feel yourself that's something that you want to continue to pursue?
So I mean, it's not something I ever thought of doing, but doing the Indeed commercial, hearing the feedback from the director. I mean, we only did maybe less than 20 takes, and he was like, wow, I can't believe this is your first time, kind of a thing. And when I would mess up, I would notice I messed up and I'd be like, oh, let's do that one again, kind of a thing. And so I think I'm a little bit of a natural at it, I would want to say. I did a read, and then I did I had to bring my own wardrobe, so I had to kind of pick and choose that and then send it out and all that stuff. So I understand the process, I guess. It's not something I would shy away from. I'm an opportunist. Mm-hmm. So if you give me an opportunity, I will try it. So
okay, that makes sense. And because we had talked about the I don't know, the list, the Mount Rushmore that I do or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you had time to think about it and stuff like that. So I'll let you go first. But then basically what we do, because I didn't tell you stuff like that. Because what happens is, one thing that I've noticed about doing this podcast is that like I said, I always try to get somebody in the filmmaking world and somebody that does comedy. Whenever I talk the actors and stuff like that, how you had hit me up before, hey man, what, can I see some of the work and stuff like that? That's usually what I get from the actors and stuff like that. Or even I'll be like, is there anything that I want to talk about? And they'll just send me a list of shit. I want this subject, this subject, this. But then when I talk comedians, ask them what I ask Tess, can I do? It's yeah, sure, okay. Yeah, no questions asked. Nobody work. You don't know what they're talking about. You don't do nothing, but that was just something that I know. So I did. Yeah, exactly. So I didn't give you a heads up, but we do this thing where we just say it's the Mount Rushmore, your Mount Rushmore, just people who inspired you in the comedy world. Okay. And then D'adonis, 4 people that inspired you in the filmmaking world.
So you're saying 4?
Yeah, 4. Okay, Mount Rushmore. 4. Yeah. So I'll let D'adonis go first. And I'll let you
go.
Sure. Spike Lee, right off top. Great filmmaker, obviously. Surprised to hear that he still has trouble trying to find funding for films. But he's a credit to the craft, credit to the people, and I love his film and his content. Right. Then I would say Ava DuVernay, business-minded as all hell.
Yeah.
Love her work. I'm excited to see Origin. And yeah, she's really about her stuff. And whenever she comes up in conversation, I'm just I get goosebumps because just how proud I am of seeing her about her stuff. So I would love to work with her as well. Jordan Peele, just because right out the gate he came out swinging with a big hit. Get Out was phenomenal. I feel that was probably one of the best films of the past decade, which I really loved. And also too, he started off in comedy, right? Mm-hmm. And then, as you were kind of hinting to earlier, sometimes with comedians, they also have a dark side because a lot of the time it's self-deprecating humor. It's, stuff that's happened to people in the past and they use it as therapy. And I really think that's a credit to comedians because that's really just the fact that you guys understand human nature and that the same things that make us laugh are the same things that make us cry.
Hey, that's what I tell people all the time, not to cut you off. I was if you could take a situation, a tragic situation, you could make somebody laugh at that shit. You could take that exact same situation and make them sad, to make them cry about it and stuff like that. So there's definitely those parallels there.
Yeah, which is why, I think comedian actors are really, really great at dramas because they know how to tap into that aspect of emotion.
Yeah, we're not afraid to go there.
And not afraid to go there, right? No, they're not afraid at all. And then, man, last one, I would say I want to give it to, the GOAT, Steven Spielberg, but then I also really love Christopher Nolan. So I'm going to cheat. I'm going to do 5. I'm going to say Steven Spielberg and Christopher Nolan, just because they're both so stylistic. They both like make me realize like what you can achieve in film when you like actually studying the craft, when you're like honed in on the minute details. Because you can take a look at any one of their films and be like, oh, that is a Christopher Nolan film. Like that is a Steven Spielberg film. So I would say all those people are like kind of like my bundle of people who inspire me when I think of filmmaking.
And you saw Nope, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Did you like it?
I love Nope.
Thank you, man. Thank you. People was giving Nope shit. I'm like, it wasn't supposed to be a horror movie or anything like something scary. I'm like, this is just a dope ass sci-fi, like say a Steven Spielberg style, like Jaws type of shit.
Jaws in the sky, essentially,
right?
Is what he was trying to go for, and I think that's exactly what it was. And like, he found a way to like. And shout out to M. Night Shyamalan, where he had this thing where it was like the fake out at the end of all of his movies, and he was kind of like known for doing that. But I think Jordan Peele found a way to kind of do it in a way where it doesn't make the audience feel bad about watching the movie, like they don't feel duped at the end of watching that. And I really love the fact that he used Christopher Nolan's cinematographer for that, his director of photography for that, and it ended up looking beautiful when they shot it on actual film. I love that movie, and I love him as a filmmaker.
Yeah. All right, now Tess, put you on the spot now.
My Mount Rushmore. Okay. My 2 teachers, of course, Johnny Taylor and Keith Lowell Jensen. I mean, they gave me the confidence and the foundation to kind of feel that I'm funny and build that start of my comedy career. Then I would say it is Jackie Pearl and the DTW crew. They welcomed me with open arms when I first came in and did scoreboards for my first open mic back a couple years ago. But right now in the scene, she's getting a lot of traction. I just seen her recently at the Crest and then at the Punchline is Steph Tolev. She's known as the Filth Queen. She's out of Canada.
I think I know who you're talking
She is the Semen Goblin. Fucking love her.
Y'all, you could open up for her.
Oh, yes, I did. Most definitely. I mean, we're in our DMs, and I told her too, and she was like, well, I bring my own opener. But yeah, no, I've met her both times that she's come. I love her to death. She's definitely one of my muses right now.
Nice. I like the transit, the difference, like, the major ones, and then like you say like the homegrown ones and stuff like that, like with Jackie, DTW, and all that good stuff.
I like to give props from what I know built me, and I like to give recognition to the community that we have, because it is a very unique community, and those individuals are foundations for it. And then, just someone who I am inspired by.
Yeah, but like I said, it also goes back to the difference of like finding your way into it and stuff like that. Like us being filmmakers, like we find our way to filmmaking from watching movies and stuff like that. Whereas like with comedians and stuff like that, we usually find it from some type of personal tragedy or something that we went through. So then once we get into it and stuff like that, like say like with Jackie and the DTW people, those are more than like it's like the people that inspired you, but they're also people that helped you get you out of that funk.
Oh yeah,
and get you back to being Tess Tickles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's like a family, it truly is. Some of us have had loss, some of us have had tragedy, some of us have been homeless, some of us have been, just without relatives or family or for the holidays, and I've seen this community step up for each other,
Yeah, that is one thing. As clicky as it may be and stuff like that. When somebody does need them, they're like, all right, well, they need us. Let's stop like not liking each other for a minute and help these people out.
Exactly.
So, that is one thing I want to say. So let's see. So before we do wrap up this here podcast and stuff like that, did anybody have any closing statements, anything that they want to say that we got going on? We know you got the Loose Lips on the Strip, January 17th, and the whole the other thing for the ladies with
the Sunday afternoon, like February 4th. Yep. Mm-hmm. Find me, all my shows, all my events coming up on Instagram at Follow My Funny. Come out, support comedy. support the local arts, including film. We need you guys. So Sacramento needs to show up.
Yep. Show up and show out. And then D'adonis,
sometime next month, I believe it's January 15th, 16th. Don't hold me to that. I'm going to be hosting a workshop on directing and working with cinematographers. That's going to be in downtown Sacramento at the Camera Kitchen Rental. If you want to learn more about filmmaking, or if you want to figure out like what that lifestyle kind of is, and figure out how to work with a cinematographer, you should come on by.
And that's the same place where the CFA was doing like the PA stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's at that same location. I don't know if they put it up online yet. So tickets aren't live yet, but keep a lookout for them.
Cool. Yeah, we definitely be able to look for that. Then any short films or any other things like that. I know you had the Kobe project in post-production.
Yeah, that's still in post-production. Eventually, we'll submit that to a couple of film festivals. But we will be having a free showing sometime in the near future for locals.
Okay. Well, if we want to see any of your other previous short films and stuff like that, where would we be able to check those out at?
Sure. That would probably be on my YouTube. I don't know if I have that linked on my Instagram, but you will probably find the links to my past films on Instagram. So at me or whatever, it's at DADONISM.
Sure. So yeah, go follow his YouTube page, check out his short films. Tess, y'all go check out the loose lips or the strips. Go see some titties and boobies and a whole bunch of other LOLs. That's what we bring it to. With LMAOs, laughing their asses off and then shaking their asses. So that's where. And then my next show I got coming up, I have the Uli Theater. I'm doing back at the Uli Theater in January. That's a live stream show. So if you cannot be there in person, you can always, like I said, just watch it from your phone or your TV, just like how you're watching this here podcast. And we're gonna keep it rocking. I actually just paired up with my agency, Crown North Talent out of Stockton. So we just teamed up with them, and then with this independent streaming company called Bonita Entertainment Studios. So they're helping us, get basically we try to bridge, like I said, help them find more talent. So the communities that we start bringing on and stuff like that, introduce them to the agency, and then all the shows that we produce, we start putting onto the streaming platform, and then we'll just see how it goes from there. So
get me on it.
Oh yeah, I got you. And I apologize. Actually, I'll get you back on. I'll pay you. I don't think I paid you last time or something like that. We didn't make no money. We didn't make no money at the last show, but this show go for it. Yeah, I got you. Going into 2024, I promise, Tess, I'll pay you for these shows.
Let's take you to that, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate all the free shows you've done for me in the past. Yeah, let's get this off the ground. But yeah, my name is Big Buddy. You can follow me at Buddy Entertainment or at Funny Business. But other than that, this has been the Buddy podcast, y'all. So if y'all have any other closing remarks that you'd like,
This is Tess Tickles. Come see me.
No, this is D'adonis Moquette. No, thank you for having me on. Appreciate you, brother.
No, man, I appreciate y'all being a part of this here science experiment that I'm trying to put together and stuff like that. This was very cool. So like I said, my name is Big Buddy. I'm signing out, y'all, for the Buddy podcast. Y'all be catching me on the next episode. You can catch us streaming on all platforms, including Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, iHeart, and then of course the live videos will be on YouTube and on the Bonita Entertainment platform. So that's it, y'all. We'll be out. Bigger points.
Thanks.
Oh man, we didn't even record that shit.
Oh man.
Not just fucking.
Looks like you're doing it solo bolo next.
Except we didn't record it.
Are you serious?
I was just joking. Just joking.
I said you're
How many
doing
times
solo
did you
bolo.
use that joke?
Every time he ends it, probably.
The recording shit?
Yeah.
I think we did that. I think in recording.